Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Hi, my name is Bob Brennaman. I am a longtime resident and a realtor here in Mount Pleasant. And today I stand on the banks of the Wando River. Out behind me is the spans to the Ravenel Bridge, and beyond that is historic Charleston. Before we get started, I wanted to say how excited I am to be back in front of the camera and doing this. This marks the third time we've done a full driving tour of Mount Pleasant. First time we did it was 10 years ago, then we updated it 3 years after that when the road work was finished on 17. And now we're going to go out and give you a full driving tour of Mount Pleasant. It obviously won't go through all the neighborhoods, but what I want to do is help you understand how Mount Pleasant lays out. So we're starting in South Mount Pleasant, we're going to go to Mid Mount Pleasant, and we're going to finish in North Mount Pleasant. And I hope you guys enjoy the tour. Let's hop in the car, y'all. All right, guys, so we have pulled away from the boat launch where we shot the open, and we are going to spin our way through the first neighborhood that I want to show you on South Mount Pleasant. But it was interesting as I was preparing for this, looking at the population when I moved here was 30,000 people in Mount Pleasant. We're at 95,000 people today, so it's about a 40% growth rate in the last 10 years, which is, to me, is amazing. But as we pull into our first neighborhood, we're going to go into River Reach. And River's Reach used to be part of the College of Charleston's. This was a soccer field. So when I was in college at College of Charleston, all this was owned by the College of Charleston, and we would come over here for the men's and women's soccer games. I don't know how many years ago they sold it, but they sold it and they've been developing, they developed 29 estate-sized lots. And these houses, one side of this neighborhood kind of sets up on the Wando River, and the other side sets up on Molasses Creek. And an interesting fact when I was doing some research on this, how Molasses Creek got named, so they would make rum here. And part of, I guess an ingredient in rum, and I didn't know this either, is that it's molasses. So the creek behind this white house, as I kind of spin around here, is Molasses Creek, and that's how it got its name, from the rum that they would make here in River Reach way back when. Homes were built back here from 2005 until about now. I think there's just some reconstruction, and I think even one brand new home that's being built back here. The advantage of this neighborhood is it's very exclusive, for one thing, and its proximity to downtown Charleston. We're about, 5-6 minutes to get to the peninsula, and maybe 15 minutes to Sullivan's Island. So it's an ideal spot. Homes back here range anywhere from $1 to $4 million. So it's not an easy place for most people to move into, but it's again very exclusive, and it's one neighborhood that you more than likely would not pick up on if you were. If you didn't know it was back here. So again, we're in Scanlonville. So Scanlonville is the name of this South Mount Pleasant area. I'm going to run y'all through it over the next 15 minutes or so. We're not going to go through every neighborhood today. It's just to get you an idea of maybe some neighborhoods we haven't covered in the past, or that I just want to point out to you. And from here, we're going to go down to a smaller enclave called REMLEY Park. All right, guys, so we've left the little area by River's Reach at REMLEY'S Point, where the soccer fields used to be, and we've come just maybe 300 yards down to REMLEY Park. And REMLEY Park is it's a very small neighborhood. It ties into the next neighborhood we're going to go to, so I'm going to kind of run you through here. But you can see the houses. I mean, they're all built recently, within probably the last 10 years. And some of them brand new, have just been, or in the process of being completed. So this is REMLEY Park, and REMLEY Park is going to tie into a bigger part of it called River's Watch, and we're going to be up there in just a second. We're getting ready to go into River's Watch, and important to point out here, so we've got David Simmons Jr. Community Dock. One of the advantages of this part of Mount Pleasant, the south part of Mount Pleasant, there's a lot of water access, whether it's boat launches where we shot the open, or community docks, just giving you the ability to get into the water. You could kayak and certainly fish off of that dock down that road. So we're coming up into Riverwatch, and Riverwatch was a community that they have been building since about 2005. It's only about 30 houses. The houses range in square footage from about 3,000 or so on up to about, I believe, about 4,500 on some of the ones that are the biggest. There's a few of these that actually sit on deep water, and they actually have, they have access to Molasses Creek and straight into the Wando River. So, really good, generally good spot. And house prices, you're looking probably in the high 7s to maybe low 900s. So from here, guys, we're going to roll out of Scanlonville, South Mount Pleasant, and we're going to run you through some shopping here in a minute and kind of tie it all in. All right, y'all, so we have, we pulled out of Scanlonville and, the south part of Mount Pleasant. We're still in South Mount Pleasant, but we're going to run you through and show you kind of some of the shopping. I think a lot of times if you're moving here, you want to have convenient shopping, and a lot of times the shopping that you're used to having in big cities. Many of our clients end up from big cities down here. So we're going to run you through here, but where we sit right now is really close to downtown Charleston. You may be able to see the traffic light up in front of us. If we went right, that's a kind of a little access road, and about 200 yards down, we would be on the Ravenel Bridge and speeding in downtown Charleston. This is actually, when I moved to Mount Pleasant back in 1991, this is the area I lived in, and so much of this was, Charleston or Mount Pleasant was not developed, and it was just, this was it. I mean, there wasn't all the stuff that we're going to see later today. It's changed so much, but it's still my favorite part of Mount Pleasant, and honestly, if I could live anywhere, aside from Sullivan's Island, I'll back out of that. If I could live anywhere, I'd live on Sullivan's Island, but second favorite would be to live in this area because of its proximity to Charleston and, just the shopping. All right, y'all, so we are on Houston Northcutt Boulevard, again, close to the foot of the bridge. We're gonna pull through and show you, we've got a Whole Foods and some, shops and restaurants. Again, this part of Mount Pleasant, you gotta remember, is the part of Mount Pleasant that the town, everything that's being built new in Mount Pleasant is cut back behind trees. There's not a whole lot of strip malls in Mount Pleasant. This is what I call a strip mall. I don't know what you would call it, but it's, it houses the Whole Foods. It has some good restaurants. Ichiban has been open since I was in college. I used to go in there when I was poor and didn't have any money to get rice and vegetables, but that's a great place. And I really like, and again, we haven't been to it as much lately with what's been going on, but we really love Gray's, and Gray's is up here on the right. I highly recommend this place. If you come to Charleston and you're in South Mount Pleasant and you want a good place to eat, definitely go to Gray's. They have really good French fries and a good deal on steak. So we're going to cut through here again, and we're starting to drift north. Again, we're still in South Mount Pleasant, but we're going to start to drift north, and I'm going to run you through a little more shopping, and then we'll head into the next neighborhood. I will point out to the left too, Melvin's Barbecue. Highly recommend Melvin's. One of the best cheeseburgers you'll ever eat, and really good French fries too. All right, y'all. So straight up from where Whole Foods is Trader Joe's. Again, Trader Joe's is my go-to spot. I try to get here early because Trader Joe's is always busy, and I'm not much on. I hate crowds, unfortunately. So, but Trader Joe's, great spot, and it's in South Mount Pleasant. I wish we had one in North Mount Pleasant, but it's maybe one day we'll get it. All right, so from here we're going to head up and we're going to go into one of my kind of hidden gem neighborhoods. Again, my focus today, we're not going to drag you through, the neighborhoods we've done videos on before, Ion and Old Mount Pleasant and Hibben and places like that, places that we've done multiple videos on. You can see these on our YouTube channel, or you can call me and I can give you more information about the neighborhoods that are bigger. But I want to take you through ones that maybe you wouldn't find unless you had a realtor that knew Mount Pleasant like I do. So anyway, we're going to go down there and we're going to go through a neighborhood called Creekside in just a minute. All right, y'all, so just up from Trader Joe's and Whole Foods, we've driven up to, again, a hidden gem neighborhood for me is Creekside. And Creekside is a waterfront neighborhood. It sits on Shem Creek, parts of Shem Creek. And it was first developed in the late 1960s, so it's been around as long as I've been around. And I think that it has, again, a lot of upside. It has, good tree coverage, great location in relation to downtown Charleston. And a lot of these homes have been bought up and rehabbed over the years. So, you don't have the sidewalks that you would have in certain neighborhoods, but you have, houses ranging anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 square feet. You have private docks back here. A lot of these actually have, you know, dockable water off the back of these houses. And you know, it's a neighborhood that I have some friends that are members of the Creekside Club up here that I'm gonna run you through in a minute, and they just say the thing they like about Creekside is just people are just very down to earth people, and I would say a lot of people that, you know, have lived here a long time are members of the Creekside Club. And you know, if you pull this up on a map, you'll see, you know, kind of the proximity and probably you know, why I think so highly of it. We're going to pull into here. So the Creekside Tennis and Swim Club, anybody can join. You know, I have a, you know, good buddy of mine who is a member, and they don't live back here. And it's also used by the College of Charleston's women's volleyball team. So they come over here and practice. This is where they have their practices and they have their matches. And you know, you can kind of see out in front of us, you know, tennis courts. There's some hard courts. There's a few clay courts, and then a really cool swimming pool with an old school diving board, one of the ones that you actually, you know, can actually jump off of. I don't think many pools are built like that anymore. So again, we're inside of Creekside. You can join the club. You don't have to live back here, and it's a great hidden neighborhood right off of Highway 17, super close to downtown Charleston. So we are close to the Lucy Beckham High School. It's right kind of across the street from us, and we're gonna pull you through there to kind of let you see what it looks like, at least from the outside. The school was named after Lucy Beckham, who was the principal at Wando High School for years, and she was actually the principal of the year in the United States, probably 15 years ago. She had a massive heart attack when she was like 52, and they named the school after her. They're the Beckham Bengals, and the school just opened last year. It's about 245,000 square feet. It's 3 stories. They spent about $108 million on building the school, and it's a much smaller school than Wando. So there's going to be 1,500 students here, and that may be, if you're listening to this, may not sound small to you, but Wando's about 4,000 students, I think, and some of them will come down here. They've redistricted the schools already, so it's already kind of set up. And again, we're going to pull through here. Right now it's 9th and 10th graders. Next year will be 11th graders, and then in 2022 or 23 they're going to add 12th grade here. So right now it's just, you have 9th and 10th graders. Small class sizes. I believe my notes say 14 students to 1 teacher is the ratio, which I think is pretty good. And you know, you can see a few bikes here. I guess the kids that aren't driving yet, I see them, you know, riding their bicycles here. And all this land that this is on, this is where Wando High School, the original Wando High School was here. You know, I think the original Wando High School opened in the late 60s. And so we're on Mathis Ferry Road, and we're getting ready to turn on the Whipple Road. And we're gonna go around the back side of the school, because I want y'all to see kind of the you know, some of the sports facilities stuff they have set up, and you know, just give you a little look at it. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you're more than likely not in Mount Pleasant, so I just wanted to kind of give you a little look back here. They used to have a really big football stadium back here that they tore down, seat probably 7,000 or 8,000 people, and they've scaled it down obviously to fit the size of the school. But you know, to our left is the soccer fields, football field out here in front of us to the right, and you can see, you know, back over to the right, the school itself. And there are about 70 classrooms, I think, is what I've been told, and this is about a 44-acre tract of land. All right, y'all. So we are, you know, we've barely come out of South Mount Pleasant, and we are heading into the MIDTOWN part of Mount Pleasant. And you know, it's MIDTOWN in that it certainly is probably the middle of Mount Pleasant, but it's also the name of this area that the beach company, old real estate development company in Charleston, has been developing for the last, I guess, probably maybe 20 or so years. And you'll see as we ride through here, you know, there's some neighborhoods back here, Watermark being one of them. And I know we've done a lot of videos in the past on Watermark, and then you have, as you can see through here, Mediterranean Shipping Company, which is a big international shipping company, is based in Mount Pleasant. Some high-end apartments. And again, we won't go through Watermark, but you can see if you Google, look up on our YouTube channel, we have at least 3 videos that highlight Watermark. Watermark is a semi-custom, some of them are full custom built neighborhood, and those houses are, in the 700s on up to about $2 million, depending on where they are on the lake. But a nice location. And where we are, and you'll see a little bit better as we come through Midtown, is Interstate 526 will be right here as we come out of it, the town center. And then where we are right now, we're about 10 minutes to Isle of Palms, and we're about 10 minutes to Sullivan's Island. So there's a lot of upside in that, living in this area, in my opinion. So we're going to go through and show you Founders Way, which was a kind of a small neighborhood that John Whelan built. And many of y'all know over the years when I've done these videos is that I like John Whelan. I think he does a quality product. Pulte Homes bought John Whelan, I don't know, probably 8 or 9 years ago. And to be honest, I'm not as big a fan of Pulte. I like John Whelan. They bought John Whelan, and you can see these houses over to the left. These were built by John Whelan, and they are, well finished for the price point. You're looking in the 7s on up to probably $900,000 for these types of houses. And I want to say they built about 25 or 30 of these through here. I've sold a couple of them over here to the right. So this will never be disturbed. It's kind of interesting. There's bald eagle nest in a lot of these oak trees. So it's a kind of a not a breeding ground, but it's an area for them to come back and reproduce and to live. So they have kept that undeveloped and keep all this undeveloped to not to disturb the bald eagles. And then just right up from where we are, we're going to go into Founders Point is the name of this neighborhood, and it's being built by Crescent Homes. I like these houses. I mean, I've shown this a lot over the last 6 to 9 months to a year, and the drawback to these for some people is the proximity of the other houses to each other. But I would say try to toss some of that out, if you're considering this, because I think the location of this neighborhood is a home run. Directly in front of us is Rifle Range Road, which runs parallel with 17, and I use it a lot to get up and down through Mount Pleasant. And directly across the street, again, big plus in my opinion, if you have kids that are in grade school, Mamie Whitesides, which was recently rebuilt, probably rebuilt maybe 5 years ago. And we're going to pull in here just to give y'all a little shot, and then we'll keep moving. My best friend's 2 daughters go here, and they ride the golf cart to school every day, and they live in a neighborhood right back behind here. But Mamie Whiteside's across the street from MIDTOWN, and MIDTOWN, again, big development, a lot of commercial space. We didn't drive through some of the commercial space because of time constraints. I want to keep things moving. And again, I've covered all of this stuff in the past, in individual videos. So you can go back through and look at some of those neighborhoods if you want to hear more about them, or you certainly can call me as we go there. So we're heading up, and we're going to take you guys out to Isle of Palms in just a minute to kind of show you proximity to the beach from Mount Pleasant. All right, y'all, so we are again continuing our way up through Mount Pleasant. We're kind of in the mid part of Mount Pleasant, and I know I've probably in the past ridden through here, but I think it's again worth looking at the shopping complexes that are scattered throughout Mount Pleasant. This one we're in, again, is Seaside Farms, and it's one you wouldn't really see from the road if you didn't know it was here, because it's the zoning in this part of Mount Pleasant, and as we drive further north, they want to keep things behind trees, so it's not going to be as easy to see. But some of my favorite go-to spots are back here. There's a really good French bakery that we go to. These people have probably been over here probably almost 15 years now, but they opened it up. I believe they moved from Paris over here, and a family, and they've been running it. And then Opal, I mean, anybody who's watched my videos in the past knows that I'm a big fan of Patrick Owen's work. And Patrick owns Opal, he owns Langdon's, and he owns Wood and Grain. And they're all three, in my opinion, some of the best restaurants in Charleston, not just the best restaurants in Mount Pleasant. But, you know, back here we have, you can kind of see the shopping as we're, you know, kind of making our way through here slowly. There's a grocery store, there's a hotel, and there's a Target shopping center as well, all kind of tucked back into Seaside Farms. And from here, we're gonna make a right when we get to the stop sign up here, and we're gonna head, all I wanna do is I wanna take y'all out to Isle of Palms, and we're gonna turn right back around. There's plenty of videos we've done and other people have done over the years for Isle of Palms, but I wanna get y'all, and you know, I think it's important if you're coming here is to get perspective on, you know, where the beach is in relation to you know, part of the area of Mount Pleasant you're moving to. And that's, you know, one of the bigger draws to Mount Pleasant, you know, just for me, you know, personally, and just from what I can tell from a resale standpoint, you know, down the road, people want to be close to the beach. We are on the Isle of Palms connector. We're heading towards the ocean, and we'll be up to the top of the span of this bridge in a second, and you should be able to see on out to the Atlantic. Down to the left of Isle of Palms is Wild Dunes Resort. Wild Dunes Resort is a you know, big resort, a couple of golf courses, a lot of things to do if you're coming here on vacation, and it's private. And the sections of beaches along here are all public, so that it's easy to access the beaches on Isle of Palms. And then, you know, just down the intercoastal is Sullivan's Island. So again, if you live in Mount Pleasant, you've got, if you live in South Mount Pleasant, you have easy access to Sullivan's Island. If you live in Central Mount Pleasant or you live in North Mount Pleasant, Isle of Palms would be your kind of your go-to spot to potentially, if you were going to go to the beach. A lot of expensive houses on the creek. You're looking at, you know, $3, $4, $5 million for something on the creek, and you know, a house just got listed on the ocean on Isle of Palms today for $8 million. So there's, you know, it's pretty high dollar real estate. I mean, I guess it depends on what part of the country, but from where I come from, $8 million is a lot of money. And then directly in front of us, and we won't go down there because, this is a Mount Pleasant video. We're not shooting Isle of Palms, but I wanted to kind of show you a little bit of the business district, and there's more beachfront stuff directly that way. The famous Windjammer, where Hootie and the Blowfish cut their teeth, and Darius Rucker, if you know who Hootie and Blowfish is, maybe you know Darius, and then lots of other bands over the years, and I spent a lot of time there when I was in college. So a lot of fond memories out here on Isle of Palms, and it's all been redone in the last, all the shopping out here to our left has all been redone in the last 3, 4, 5 years. I will point out Long Island Cafe in this shopping center is excellent. It's been around since I've been in Charleston, so it's been here for, I want to say, 35 years. Great she crab soup and really solid service. All right, guys, so we're leaving Isle of Palms again, just riding you out here to show you where the beach is in relation to this part of Mount Pleasant. Back over to the right is where we're going to go next, which is a big planned community called Oyster Point, and I've done videos on it in the past, but they've almost completed it, and I think it's a good time for us to ride back in there. So that's what we're going to do as we head back into Mount Pleasant on the Isle of Palms connector. All right, y'all, so we've jumped off of Rifle Range Road, and we are in Oyster Point. And Oyster Point is a neighborhood that's built on overlooking Hamlin Sound and Gray Bay. And it was developed and is, you know, still almost done, but it was developed by D.R. Horton and their high-end brand Emerald Home. So there's a varying price points of homes back here, you know, anywhere from honestly, probably the low fives on up to about maybe $2 million for stuff that overlooks the back of Hamlin Sound and on out to the ocean. Houses back here, anywhere from, you know, from single family houses to some duplexes. You've got really good amenities, and we'll spin through here and just grab, you know, we're shooting this video and it's winter time, so we won't have as much that we can get, but we'll do it just to kind of give y'all a little bit of a look. So you've got tennis courts, got a really big swimming pool over to the left, you know, play equipment. That white building back to our left is the Neighborhood Amenity Center, and it's got a high-end workout facility, which, you know, a lot of these neighborhoods have gym equipment, but nothing to this scale. They have yoga and Pilates classes there. So, you know, it's a good deal. You pay a little more in HOA fees back here, I want to say it's about $1,500 a year for your homeowners association, and that covers covers the pool, covers common area upkeeps, tennis courts, and stuff like that. And then these townhomes through here, put one under contract the other day for a couple that's going to use as a second home, and those are, we put it under contract for $500,000, which, is, I don't want to say crazy, but it's, the price points for some of these neighborhoods close to the beach, and again, we're, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, maybe Isle Palms, if that, back here in Oyster Point. I want to get back here and show y'all some of the single family homes, and then we'll peel out of here. So we've kind of made our way to the back part of Oyster Point, and I'm going to get you as close as I can to where some of the water houses are. These houses that we're coming through right here were built by Emerald Homes. And again, Emerald Homes, as I said earlier, is the higher end brand for D.R. Horton. Elevated construction, pull under parking, which in the double front porches, all this helps resell your house. I can't tell you how many times people have said they want the porches on the house and they love the underneath parking. You get the full footprint of the house, which is a plus. And then it backs up to a little, we'll pull in here, how about that? So they've got a little kayak area and a dock that goes out into Hamlin Sound and out in the Gray Bay, which is kind of cool. You can go out there and fish, and obviously you can probably see in here, that little building is the place where you house your kayaks. Okay guys, so we're taking a little access road to get from Oyster Point into a giant new community called Liberty Hill Farms. And we're rolling past Fort Palmetto Park, and I highly recommend, if you have time and you're in Charleston, even if you visit here or you live here, is to park your car there. It's all free parking, and walk along that tree line. There's beautiful oak trees, and then it takes you back to the original Fort Palmetto Fort and beautiful vistas of the intercoastal and the backside of Isle of Palms. So it's definitely a good Instagram place. But as we go through here, so this neighborhood, will tie into Oyster Point, will tie into Liberty Hill Farms. And again, we're coming in, the main entrance would be off of Rifle Range Road, which we'll jump back on in a minute, but I wanted to run y'all through here. I did do a video, I guess about 6 months ago, maybe 4 months ago, of this neighborhood. They haven't built a whole lot back here. I actually have one of the houses under contract. They have done the first release and it's all been sold. So they're in the process of building. It's supposed to be about 8 different floor plans. It's all going to be drive under parking. These will be single family homes along here. Having amenity centers back here. A lot of them are going to have owner suites on the main floor, which I think is a plus for resale. And entry point for these houses is going to run about in the low 6s and then go up from there. So not an inexpensive price point. And it's being built by Kay Hovanian, and I think I'm saying his name right. If I'm not, then I apologize. But I do recommend, like I'll say this all the time, is that when you're going to deal with new construction, and we're just going to ride you through here and kind of show you how, some of these lots, when you're dealing with new construction, you definitely want somebody, whether it's me representing you as a buyer's agent or somebody else representing you. You don't want the site agents representing you. They're drinking the Kool-Aid. And I have friends that are site agents, and they do a great job. But I think you need somebody who doesn't have, who has your main interest. And obviously, if you're a site agent, you also have the builder's interest. I think it's good, again, to have a buyer's agent, whether it's me or someone else. And hopefully, as this video rolls, we will have some still images of some of the houses they plan to build back here. But this is going to be a huge community. It's about 75 acres of it's going to be left as open space, and the whole tract of land is about 254 acres. So it's going to be fairly large, and you can see a lot of sold signs already back here. And we are going to turn around and go back out of here. I know this is not much to show you, but this is a neighborhood that over the next 5 to 8 years, you're going to see a lot of houses come on the market in here. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't jazzed about them building this neighborhood because it's going to put more cars on Rifle Range Road, which is a road I use a lot. But I think they are, they put enough of this in green space, and they're not building so many houses that I think it's going to be, the roads will be inundated with traffic. And from what I understand, the developer of this is having to pay through the nose in impact fees to set up for future road work. One thing I do want to point out, and we'll talk more about it here in a second, but it's important if you're in this neighborhood, is you're going to be directly across the street from the soon-to-be-built Rifle Range Park, and we're going to get you some more information on that as we get a little closer over there to it. But this is going to be a really high-end park that's being built adjacent to this, and you'd have full-time access to it. So we're going to head out of here, and the next neighborhood we're going to go to is Fulton and Fulton Park, which sits basically on the other side of where Rifle Range Park is going to be built. All right, guys, so we are just off of Highway 17. We made our way up to mid-Mount Pleasant, and we are going into Fulton and Fulton Park. So Fulton is the front part of this neighborhood. There's about 30 of these houses. They were built by Alka, which is a builder that builds a lot in Ion, so he builds some high-end houses. These are really cool. He's a European dude. A lot of really cool modern looks on the inside of these houses, and I guess even maybe some of the exterior of these houses kind of have that modern look. So he built these, and then they sold this big tract of land to Stanley Martin, who is finishing up Fulton Park. And Fulton Park is, 3 to 4 bedroom houses, and we'll get back there in just a second as we finish our way through Fulton. All right, so these are the last houses here as part of Fulton, and now we're into Fulton Park. And Fulton Park is going to be houses ranging from the 6s on up to the 8s. Some of them are drive under houses. Some of them are on slab. A lot of master suites, and they preserved a lot of the wetlands. You can see a little sign here. They're building a clubhouse and a pool that will be back here. I think they're supposed to start here in the next couple of months and hopefully be ready for summer. And Stanley Martin is a regional builder, from what I understand. And I think their product is a really good product. I love this location in relation to getting to the beach. You can be on Isle of Palms in 10 minutes. You could be in downtown Charleston in under 15 minutes. But the thing that's most exciting to me about this neighborhood, Fulton and Fulton Park, is the new Rifle Range Park. So just on the other side of where we are, where the nose of the car is pointing, is a big tract of land between this neighborhood and Liberty Hill Farms that we went in earlier. So that tract of land is Rifle Range Park, and it's projected to be, start date is sometime in the summer, they say July 21. It's a $40 million project. It's being done in 2 parts. It's 256 acres. So it's a joint venture between Charleston County and Mount Pleasant Rec. And there's gonna be about 34,000 feet of buildings, 2-court gymnasium, elevated walking track. You're gonna have tennis courts, playground, outdoor basketball courts, pavilions. And this is all gonna be done, again, in 2 phases. The second phase is gonna have softball fields and baseball fields, and disc golf. And all of this neighborhood and the neighborhood we went through earlier in Liberty Hill Farms is gonna tie into Rifle Range Park. All right, so we're going to head out of Central Mount Pleasant. We've highlighted a couple of the newer neighborhoods that are being built back here. The neighborhoods, we're not going to hit on today that I really like in Central Mount Pleasant are Hamlin Plantation, Brickyard Plantation, and Seaside Farms. Those are really good central location neighborhoods, and we have done tons of videos on them in the past. If you want to, research those, you can certainly watch those videos that we've done as if nothing has changed. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to head out of here and we're going to go north and give you a little taste of what it looks like in North Mount Pleasant. All right, y'all, so we made our way out to what I consider almost the far reaches of Mount Pleasant. So we're in North Mount Pleasant. If we stayed straight on this road, which is 17, that would take us on up to Allendale and McClellanville, which are rapidly being developed, but they are not part of Mount Pleasant. And so cutting through here over to the left, you'll be able to see the backside of Wando High School. Hopefully when we leave here, I'm going to get y'all a front side look of this, but it opens up a little bit up here and maybe y'all can get a better look. But Wando High School is the main high school that services Mount Pleasant. Again, like we talked about earlier in the video, Lucy Beckham High School is in South Mount Pleasant, and this services the parts of Mount Pleasant that don't go to Lucy Beckham High School. But generally in the top 15 public high schools in the United States is Wando. Very big class size, but at the same time they have the 9th graders kind of separated from the 10th, 11th, 12th. So I think, from what I understand, it's an easier transition than you would think for, something of that size for your kid to be going into. And what we're going to do, so we're on Darrell Creek Trail, and Darrell Creek, just to throw out there, Darrell Creek is a neighborhood in the back parts of where we're driving to. We won't go into today. Much bigger lots, doesn't have sidewalks, but if you're the kind of person that wants to keep your RV in the yard, or keep your boat in the yard, you can do that there. There are less covenants and restrictions, but it's high end. You're probably 700,000 to several million, depending on if you're on Deepwater Creek or not. But what we're going to do is take you guys into the subsection of Carolina Park that's known as Riverside in just a second. All right, so again, Darrell Creek Trail, if we went left here, that would take us into the main part of Carolina Park that Lennar is developing, but we're going to take you into the Riverside section that's being developed, and these are more like custom homes, and a lot of custom builders are building back in Riverside, and it's also where you'll see Bolden Lake here in a few minutes. We're pulling into the Riverside subsection of Carolina Park, and this neighborhood that we're coming through right now, built from probably 2005 up until right about now. Majority of what you're going to see as we come through here is been built in the last 10 years. Bigger lots back here, so the front part of Carolina Park, the houses are much closer together. Lennar is building them. They're nice houses, but they don't have the finished level of some of the houses back here that are built by custom builders. And again, the biggest difference between this section and the other section is lot size. So everything back here is about 1/3 of an acre. And then Riverside ties in to Bolden Lake, which is a giant man-made lake. And further part of the development back here in Carolina Park, they're going to develop all the way to the river. So right now, they haven't quite gotten there yet, but they are very close. And from what I've been told, sometime this year they will have made it back to the river, and there'll be some river access and even some houses in the coming years that are on, Deepwater, on the Wando River. But again, you can see, coming through here, the architectural style of these houses, a lot of them with double porches, and the metal roofs, which help resell. I would, as I always talk about when we do these videos, is, I always think exit strategy with real estate, and I think it's important to, plan an exit strategy. One of the ways that helps you resell a house is having a master down, and as the population ages, more and more people want the master down. Even if you've got a bunch of living space upstairs, people want that for their family and their kids and grandkids when they come back, but they want the main level living. So good number of master downs back here. And again, as we wind our way past this car right here, we are going to be at the subsection in Riverside inside of Carolina Park called Bolden Lake. And Bolden Lake, I think it's probably been about 5 years since they've had this lake filled with water. And they'll build houses all the way around. We'll have more of a view of the houses to our left here in just a second, and out to the lake. So it's a fishing kayak lake. Houses along the lake are running in the low millions. And unfortunately, right now there is nothing for sale back. This has been a very well received product, and there may be 2 resales right now, and the new construction product is all under contract. Now there'll be more releases, and again, I talked about this earlier, I'll bring it back up again. If you're going to work with new construction, you definitely want a buyer's agent, whether that's me or whether it's somebody else. I highly recommend having somebody that's looking out solely for your interest. You can see over here to the right, they're putting in a pool. So this pool will just be for the people back here in Riverside and Bolden Lake, and I think it's going to look awesome when they get done. We're going to spin back through here and get y'all a little bit more of a look for some of these houses, and then we will head out of here. But it's just amazing to me the amount of houses that have been built out here, and again, how well received. Because we're 30 minutes easily from downtown Charleston, 15 to 20 minutes to the beaches. So not bad, but I've lived in Mount Pleasant a long time, like I've talked about in these videos. So the further you get out, to me, it's less desirable. But I do think that the argument here for living out in, whether it be Carolina Park or Park West, which we're going to run through, we won't look at anything in Park West, but we'll cut through it and we'll make our way over to Dunes West and even Rivertown. Any of these neighborhoods in North Mount Pleasant, I think if you're raising kids and all the schools are out here like we kind of talked about, and your recreational facilities are out here, you're kind of living in a little bit of a bubble, in that you you know, and a lot of people with mobile jobs now, they're not even having to leave to commute. So I think if you're not having to commute to downtown Charleston every day and you're raising your kids, it makes a lot of sense to live in a tighter geographical area, in my opinion anyway, because it just makes your, you know, makes your day shorter when you don't have to, you know, schlep from one side of town to the other. Everything is kind of out here, from grocery stores to restaurants to schools. And again, we are going to go drive out of Bolden Lake, and we're going to head over to Dunes West to show you a new part of Dunes West that they're building. I think it's kind of exciting, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the road work that they're doing to fix the traffic on Highway 41, and we'll be over there in just a second. All right, guys, so we've made it from, you know, we came in the back section of Riverside and Bolden Lake to show y'all that first, and now we're coming through the other section of Carolina Park, which is the part that Lennar is mainly, well, Lennar is the only builder in this section now, but I mean, it was built by, a lot of these were built by David Weekley, some of them built by Ryland. So, you know, various builders built this, and you can see, I mean, the houses are a little closer together. You do have some really good amenities back here, and we'll kind of spin past the amenity center. And so you have, you know, nice swimming pool, tennis courts, walking trails, you know, kind of runs the gamut back here for things that you would need. And then the part that I think most people like so much about Carolina Park, and kind of going back to what I was talking to when we were in Bolden Lake, is that you've got schools and you've got restaurants and everything right outside here. So you could, you know, I mean, a lot of the kids you'll see, you know, it's like 1:30 now, so we're a little early for it, but a lot of times you'll see the kids walking from, you know, there's a grade school, which they probably wouldn't be walking home by themselves, but Wando High School is just right up at this traffic circle. So, you know, that part of it for a lot of people, being able to have their kids, you know, have a short bicycle ride or, you know, a short car ride to school, I think, you know, makes a lot of difference. And we won't go by there because we have been by there many times in the past, and you can research Wando High School, but, you know, very popular one. So we're going to take this road. It connects Carolina Park with Park West, and we're just going to use this as a cut through, and you can kind of see through here some of the things that have been built. I mean, all these apartment buildings, you know, I'm not a big fan of the massive number of apartment buildings they built here over the years, but it's been nice for the people who are building their houses to be able to live close to it while their house is being built. So there's something to be said for that. All right, y'all, so we made our way over from Carolina Park. We cut through Park West, and we just passed the main gate to Dunes West, but we're going to go to the back gate because this is where some of the new construction is being built, and a place that I just kind of wanted to show y'all. Right across the street is Rivertown Country Club, which we've done plenty of videos on in the past, and we are turning onto Highway 41. So Highway 41 is a stretch of road that at certain times of day gets a little backed up, and they are going to widen 41. They have gone through about 9 different feasibility studies and decided that they're going to go with the original one that they did, which I guess makes sense. But this will be 4 lanes of traffic, and what it's going to do is going to make, in my opinion, a lot of these neighborhoods, whether it's Dunes West, whether it's you know, Rivertown back behind us, any of these neighborhoods that are being built out here, I think the prices are going to go up as it becomes easier to get in and out of here. And you know, we're shooting this at 1:45 during the week. You know, it's a weekday, and this is, you know, this is not a lot of traffic, but it does get more trafficy as you go. And as you know, as we come through here, I'll point out Lowe's grocery store, not to be confused with Lowe's department store. Lowe's Home Improvement is a totally different business. It's a grocery store. It's got a bar in it, so you can get a beer and shop. And you know, really got a good butcher shop in there. So if you're wanting some you know, some gourmet meats, it's a good place to go. You know, you can see they've developed some more shopping and you know, Starbucks and stuff like that. Put a new dentist office in here, and then we're going to come up here and we're going to go right into Dunes West and show y'all kind of the final phase that Dunes West is building out, called Riverview inside of Dunes West. All right, guys, so we just came in the back gate off of 41, and we're going into really the area that they're still building, which is Riverview at Dunes West. And they're building a little more across the street, you know, directly back behind us, so inside the gates, not out on 41. What they've done really is they've taken, you know, land that was just sitting here, and are finally getting it developed out. And you can see as we ride through here, a lot of these are elevated houses, many of them, you know, with a pull under parking to save on land. And then we have some, you know, this is a good example. I mean, over to our left, we have houses that are basically on slab, and then you have those that are, you know, that we saw just a few minutes ago that are raised up. So it's not always an indicator. A lot of times people ask me, well, it's raised up, it means it's in a bad flood zone. No, it's an architectural style. It's called a low country style house, and it also gives the builder the ability to you know, build more houses, as well as create a little bit more of a different look with the elevations. So we're going to cut through here. Some of these were townhomes, and they're, you know, price points back here, kind of just to go over, and these are just ballparks. The townhomes are in the 4s, and then your single family houses are looking in the 6s all the way up until the low millions. And again, this, I'm just talking about the section that we're riding through. I mean, Dunes West, you know, is y'all have seen in the past when we've done videos back here, it's giant neighborhood, golf course, as well as just a lot of subsections. And most of Dunes West was built in the mid 90s, early 2000s, and they're just finishing this up. I mean, you know, the only thing that I would point out is we're, you know, as we're kind of riding through here, giving you all a little bit of the look of this Riverview section, is that this section and what they're finishing up with is really close to Highway 41. And as they widen 41, depending on which way it swings, it could get closer to this neighborhood. So I wouldn't, you know, not buy a house back here, but I think you need to realize that the noise from this could get significantly worse here in the next, you know, in the coming years. And I want to ride through here as we make our way back to the back part of this to show y'all kind of where we're going to go and shoot. We're going to do a Daniel Island follow-up video to this, you know, which is a sister community of Mount Pleasant. And I want to show you kind of where we're going to go, as well as show you the little boat club area that they have. So you have docks back here. You have some play equipment. And I don't know that we're going to have a great shot of this because of where we are, but I mean, you can see back, you know, back over to our right, that's the Wando River, and so there's docks out there, and we're going to shoot, you know, the part of Daniel Island over there tomorrow that John Whelan is building called Wando Village, but we'll tackle that when we get to that point. But that's kind of what I wanted to show y'all back in Dunes West. Again, if you're going to work with new construction, highly recommend that you work with a buyer's agent, whether it's me or whether it's anybody else. And if you like our YouTube channel, make sure you click in the right-hand corner of the screen to subscribe to it, because we'd love for y'all to follow us if you like our videos. All right, y'all, that's a wrap. Thanks for joining me today. And if you have questions about Mount Pleasant, you can call me or text me, 843-345-6074. You can check out our website for all of Mount Pleasant, which is mountpleasantproperty.net. And our website for all of Charleston is BrennamanGroup.com. Till next time, y'all.